This media is being live streamed. Oh shit! Probably should not say that on air. If Ross Collins disappears tonight, you know why.
Yeah, right.
You know what's that word? What's that phrase you use a lot? He learned.
You're gonna learn today.
Hey, I'm the one who used to be a teacher here.
If you're feeling froggy, go ahead and leave, yeah.
Let me say,
Another J.
I may be feeling frothy because I'm quite riveting.
Yeah, another J.
Let's start this J shit. Come over there. Third show. Here we go. This is only third set of jerseys too back here. Representing on the back wall tonight is your 5 Capital Classic participants. Looking up, you got the Scorpions, your defending Capital Classic B champions, your MAFFL Spring champions, your OMFFL Fall champions. Next to them, you got the Misfits. They're in their first Capital Classic coming up. They've had a hell of a year, man. We're looking forward to seeing them once again. We just got done watching them over the weekend down at the KFFL, or rather up at the KFFL championships in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Big shout out to all the teams up in Keystone. Other jerseys we got back there, Rampage. You all know Rampage, defending A champion in the Capital Classic. They got that win we just saw a few moments ago that year over 7-point spread. Looking back behind me, Baez Auto, quarterfinalists at the 2019 event. They lost to the Renegades in that one. And of course, Gusto Land playing in their first ever nationals, making their back wall debut for the first time. Welcome to the wall, Gusto. Glad for you to join us. Anyways, anyhow, anywho, it's been a wild night, everybody. We talked to Kent Page early on. We talked to everybody in 9-man early on. That was crazy, dude. And anybody who wants to chime in tonight about the Capital Classic, feel free to do so. I'm going to just let the link sit there, and we're going to go through everything. I got the PowerPoint. In fact, I shared a little bit of it earlier tonight when Kent Page was on with us. Now we're moving on to the actual show discussion here for the Capital Classic. I'm really excited about it. Ross is out of the room right now, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up what we got in store for you this weekend. Let's go ahead, pull up the team list. I shared this PowerPoint earlier. I figure I'd go ahead and put it back on there one last time tonight. Oops, wrong one off the gate. Hit the wrong one. Let me try to get that off of there in a second. Sorry about that. Sometimes I tend to hit the wrong thing trying to click something. There we go. Let's get that going. Here we go. Capital Classic A teams. The rankings you see next to them are based on my rankings that I got. With that being said, I will not release a new top 25 this week. Because I'm going to see how Capital Classic plays out. And we're going to go from there with Capital Classic and Rhode Island kind of being 2 kindred spirit tournaments. Of course, Rhode Island flag football was finished off this weekend. Lions took that one, and KFFL finished as well. So we're going to hold off on the new rankings until after Capital Classic. So let's take a look at how things are looking in the moment, though. With the A teams, you got the Scorpions up top. They're the top team coming in here in the A division, followed by the Misfits, Rampage, Elite Rebels. 4 of the top 10 that I got in my rankings will be appearing in this tournament. So you're seeing a very stacked A bracket overall coming into this. With the Scorpions, who've already won both local leagues in the Beltway and MAFFL and MAFFL. They already won Capital Classic B 2 years ago. Arguably, that's what started that run, was that Capital Classic B championship when they beat the Renegades.
Bunch of old bums.
Those old bums rode the momentum all the way to Worlds that January when they beat the NTB Wolfpack to win it all. We'll see how they do this time around. Misfits, they're making their first appearance at the Capital Classic together. Looking forward to seeing how they fare. 5-6 so far in tournament play this year overall, but they've shown they are more than able to compete. They've been able to win up north. They got one on Strong Island a few weeks ago. Very disappointing weekend, however, in Shippensburg. They beat the Outlaws as planned.
No light. Oh no.
Well,
No light.
you know, for years we've been hearing about lights, but it happens. Sometimes,
Should have ponied up for the lights.
hey man, Parks and Rec up there once.
That's a shot. The whole
Yeah,
game.
yeah, they wanted 750 though for that field. That's pretty heavy.
That was the
Yeah,
what was it, 70 per team?
more because prime time dropped.
Ooh.
Yeah, that kind of messed it up more.
Yeah.
It was kind of a steep hill on short notice. But Misfits will bounce back. This is their chance this weekend to get an A championship, which I think is something they need going into nationals, to go out there and get something at least.
Right.
But even then, I feel like the absence of a trophy may motivate them even more. So this is going to be one of those tournaments to look out for this franchise. I feel like they have a big opportunity to step up in a huge way. And we've seen Chris Boone win one November tournament before. I think he can win one again. Let's see how it goes overall for the Misfits. After them, I got Rampage, number 9 in my rankings. They have the most wins at 9, man, 40 overall this year. Fall hasn't been so kind to them as it was in the spring and the summer. They have had more losses this fall than they had those 2 seasons combined, spring and summer. But the resume speaks for itself. B champs in Ocean City over Baez. OMFFL spring champs over the Scorpions. Charm City B champs over the Blackhawks. And the last Capital Classic A champion we just saw when they beat 7-point spread 2 years ago. They also have the previous A championship in November locally when they beat the Scorpions in the Mason-Dixon Classic in 2018 for the A championship there. So let's see if Rampage can do a three-peat in November tournaments in this southern region for the A division, which people have said Rampage is an A team. And honestly, they've beaten the Scorps, they've beaten the Misfits, they've beaten the Elite Rebels, they've beaten PME, they've beaten Rideout. Oddly enough, didn't beat Dream though. Number 10, the Elite Rebels. They're at 500 right now. This has been a team that's had some tough matches, though. They played a hard schedule, one of the hardest on the circuit. Right out the gate, we had talked about it with OC. They had to play the Misfits and the Lions and the Rollers and Strong Island. That's your first circuit weekend as a team, Ross. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then right after that, in AC, they had to play main event, Strong Island, and the Scorpions. You go even further with that to Charm City Classic. They had to play the Punishers and the Rollers twice. The Elite Rebels they've been called to face the toughest of tasks, even locally, with the Scorpions, the Misfits, Rampage. They have not played PME this year. That's a game that I hope we do get a chance to see. Rideout and them had a couple games. Rideout's gotten the best of them a little so far, though, in that playoff game back in June. We'll see what goes on there. We talk matchups. But Elite Rebels, they've had a great fall. Clash of York 3 champions. Did not quite have the best OMFFL playoff. They lost just by a point to Rampage. But TJ Holston, he's got a lot of momentum. He's got 2 rings in a month span. He won Clash of York 3, and he got the KFFL championship last week over the Misfits with the Wolverines. Yeah. And one team wore black and one wore dark gray.
Oof.
Yeah, it happens. But some of the Rebels were actually at the last tournament. They were with Anarchy. A good bit of some of those core Rebel guys were on that end. They ended up going 1 and done on Sunday, unfortunately for that group, losing to the Maryland Bullets, as we saw a few minutes ago, but had that great battle with Aftermath as well. Should be interesting to see how it unfolds this time around. 15 on there is PME, 15-6 overall is their record this year. A slow start in the spring. This was a team who in the spring were still kind of putting it together. And we saw in that quarterfinal against Rampage that PME was back in full swing. They lost that game, but they showed that they could still measure up to the best of the best from this region. And they proved it in MAFFL this season, going undefeated in the regular season. One forfeit loss, though, that was to Rideout in the final week of the regular season when both teams had clinched their respective spots. They opted not to play, and it worked out. A week later, they beat Rideout 20-0 to win the championship.
Nailed it.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
17th on their Rideout, 17, 14-1. They came back to MAFFL after Ostent Knowings Mills back in the spring. Got second place overall. This is a team who defensively had an excellent run in Atlantic City. We talk about the run they had in AC. It was just absolutely phenomenal, just how they were shutting down opposing offenses. 0 points allowed, 0 through 23 quarters until that 24th one when Empire scored the game winner to win the B chip. That being Rideout's sole blemish in AC.
Dude, they were balling.
They were balling in AC. That defense was just
It was
insane.
hot as shit.
Charm City, we talked about it. I felt like they
Rocky was hot.
it was. But Charm City, they went out, they competed with the Punishers, they competed with the Rollers. Day 2, they had a tough early morning draw, ended up losing, but like in the end, Rideout has shown throughout the year that they are more than capable of playing on that A level. Especially with all the experience on that team. Just a team that I'm glad they're playing A in Capital Classic. They weren't at the last tournament for Cap Classic. I'm glad they're back at this one. Let's see if Rideout can protect their homeland, so to speak. And then last one on there, probably the worst ranked of the A teams, Dream. They're number 30 right now in the TBT rankings. We only ranked 25 officially, but they are probably the number 16 or number 5 team, I should say, outside the top 25 waiting. I think they're behind the X Dogs, actually, for what it's worth.
Right.
Because I feel like Dream is just, and don't get me wrong, a lot of that is the schedule, but this is a team that's had a hard time competing with B teams this year. Remember, they played B at Nationals and went 0-3. And they did lose to the Maryland Titans at York. Their sole win on the circuit, well, on some sort of tournament circuit, or on some sort of tournament in general, was beating the Baltimore Spartans in day 1 of York.
They didn't win at all in Michigan City, right?
No. And don't get me wrong, Dreams has some tough competition in these A tournaments. It's like OC, they had to play Strong Island. They had to play the Rollers. I think they played the Bulldogs twice that weekend. AC, they had to play Main Event, and they had to play the Lions. It's just Charm City, they had to play Baez and Misfits. The problem is, though, in those early games, they were competitive. Like against Strong Island, day 2 of OC, they were down only by 8 in the 4th quarter. They were hanging with the Bulldogs late.
Right.
And just lost at the end. Whereas you look at down the road, go back to Charm City, Misfits.
My thing with them is that I've always said they were a young team and they could get it together, but they should have at least gotten something together by now.
That's the thing. And it's like if they had gone out in York, just the way they lose games. And it's gotten to the point where they're not just losing, they're getting blown out. You go back to Charlotte City, Misfits beat them, I think, 38-0. You don't see that on the A circuit very often. And that's against a local team in a local league area. That's about as neutral as you can get from both sides. You look at the other loss to Baez Auto. Baez beat them 29-12 on day 2 of Charm City. They wiped the floor of Dream. Same for the Elite Rebel. Same for the Maryland Titans. Titans beat them by 12. It's been a tough year. They're trying. but they're kind of hitting Maryland Raiders territory with it. And what I mean by that is you're attending everything, which is good. You're facing good comp, but where's the growth? Is there any growth on this team?
Right.
Like this tournament could be it for them. Like I think they'll go through to nationals, but like they have to do something here. And it's not like they're a bad team. Remember, they almost beat the Scorpions in the MAFFL playoffs back in July. They've beaten Rampage. The thing about it with Dream, though, is I just don't think that they're on the level of these 6 teams above them. And that's no disrespect. PME just beat them by 24 weeks ago in MAFFL. Yeah. Like it's just not there right now. And like I said, you look at it, their record against B teams in the tournament is 1-4 overall. The sole win was on the Baltimore Spartans, who were only about 2 months old when they played against Dream.
Right. Yeah.
They lost to the Titans in that tournament. I don't remember who they played at Nationals anymore. But Dream's having a tough one. This tournament's going to be big for them, though. They need to get some momentum. Let's go to the B. Let's go to the B teams. Started out number 16 in my rankings, Baez Auto. They're 9-5 on the year. They were a runner-up in OC, quarterfinalist at Capital Classic last time around. Just recently had that great run in Charm City, falling short to main event in the quarterfinals. We talked about that a few moments ago. They're back down to B here, and honestly, they have to be the favorites, right? You have to go Baez Auto as the favorite coming in here, right? They just had that A experience. They almost beat main event.
Do you have to?
I mean, it's just at this point, it's got to be overdue, right? Baez has to win this, right? I'm not disrespecting the competition. The comp's there.
Why do you keep saying right?
I don't know. I'm asking you a question. I was gonna blow up at you and like do like this big explosion thing. People be like, "Holy shit, Joey!" But I was like, "Man, I don't think he's saying what Yeah, it wouldn't have made sense. It would have been really jarring,
Right.
But Baez has, like I said, they've been there. They're getting there. They almost beat Rampage and OC. They fell short of main event. They've competed with the big dogs. Better than a lot of teams have on the list here. I think this has to be something where if they don't at least get to the finals, it's a disappointment. But of course, you got the bad boys in the way. Bad boys have had a bit of a reemergence in the fall. Like this team was dead in the water back in the summer.
Good Titans. My favorite, right?
You got Titans at your favorite, right? But there's plenty of great comp over around. Like Bad Boys I feel like they've gotten better since where they were back in the summer and spring. We saw them in York make a good run. They beat the Misfits. I really like to see what Bad Boys can do here this time around in the Capital Classic. FOE, of course, they're going to be home. This is going to be a local tournament for them. They played well at Tucker all year, actually. They were second place in the league, I believe, both fall and spring. So FOE, that bit of familiarity is going to be one of the biggest things that help them coming into this tournament. And I think this is a real opportunity for this franchise to step up in a big way to go out and get a win here in the Capital Classic and make a statement going into nationals. Of course, after that, only 3 ranked teams officially is what I have for this one. Titans are the second team out. They're at 27. They've kind of gone to the wayside a little bit. They had a strong performance in York. A little bit of that might have been scheduling. They ended up getting a good first day, but one and done to Rampage. In fact, that's been the problem all year. Go back to Nationals. They beat Rideout, losing the quarterfinals of Rampage. Ocean City, they beat the Demons, losing the quarterfinals of Rampage. AC, they didn't quite get there. Fell short to the Browns in the Sweet 16 in a game where the winner of that game took on Rampage and lost to them in the quarterfinals. Sometimes your fate just gets altered by the weirdest of things. That time the Browns prevented that fate from happening for what would have been the third consecutive tournament. And then in Charm City, I see you, boy. Come on up here. What's up, Jaeger? Charm City. They went out, they beat Southside. And I believe they also beat the Baltimore Spartans. I don't know why, but I think they played that morning. Only to lose to Rampage in the quarterfinals. Clash of York, they go 2-0. They get a bye, which advances them to the quarterfinals where they lose to Rampage. Again, the good news for the Maryland Titans is that Rampage is playing an A. The quarterfinal matchup of Rampage cannot happen this time around. There is no circumstance where they'll be in a bracket where they have the possibility of facing Rampage in what would be the 5th tournament this year that they've met in the quarterfinals. And almost a 6, because had they beaten the Browns on that Sunday in AC, they would have had to play Rampage in the quarterfinals. Again, Titans have shown they can compete. We saw what they could be back in the spring. The potential was there. In the league play in MAFFL, they went out, they beat Rideout, they beat the Misfits, they beat the Scorpions, they tied Rampage. They showed they could compete with the newcomers and the old comers. They show they're still on that level. This fall, the Titans, I don't think, are playing on that same sort of level that we saw back in the spring. And, Clash of York was a good performance, but at some point, when do you get past that wall? But also you could say by turn, now that Rampage is not in the bracket, let's see what they can do. They're going to still have some stiff competition, though. FOE above them, Bad Boys, Baez, Auto. None of them are slacks. Titans and Baez, they faced off a good bit back in 2019, actually. Clash of York and Charm City, they faced off. They haven't faced off in a while, so that'll be a new game, but a bit of a familiar experience for both sides. Bad Boys, they know each other. They played forever against those guys. FOE, I believe they did play FOE a little bit ago. I want to say that was a tournament game this year. That's going to be a nice old school chipping match if we see that. But below them, Southside. But overall for the Titans, they know Venom. They beat Southside already. They played the Spartans in league ball. Gusto will be a new experience for them, but it should be an interesting one. Really looking forward to seeing how the Maryland Titans do this time around. Southside, right after that, they traveled outside the region for the first time in Charm City back in August. They scored 2 wins on Saturday against the Rebels and the Jets. Unfortunately, we mentioned one and done to the Titans, but it's been a really good year for Southside. The record may say otherwise. 9-14 is their overall. They're 32nd overall among eligible teams for ranking. But Southside has performed well. They've gone out and beaten FOE. They played Rampage to the brink in that semifinal for MAFFL back in July. Almost pulled off the upset against the big dogs. This is a team that has been around for a long time, a staple of MAFFL. They're starting to get some shine this year, starting to get more exposure than before. They're going to be put on display this weekend, and they have a huge opportunity to make a big statement. Just below them is the Maryland Venom at 9-22-2 overall in the MAFFL. Venom is a team that has just been playing all over the country. 33 games total, 35 you go back and count the 4-state fours back in January that they played in, that we hosted over at what started in Greencastle and finished in Hagerstown. Venom has been all over the place. They played in OC, they played in AC, they played their own home tournament, they played in Rhode Island. They're going to be here. They're going to be at nationals. And you really love to see that from those guys. They're familiar with a lot of these teams by now. That's the one thing about Venom is they're the kind of team that they'll play you, and if they may not beat you, they're at least going to study your tendencies. They're going to research what they can do to make adjustments. They're going to come out that next game and surprise the hell out of you because of the fact that you're going to get an entirely different team every time and a different approach from this squad. This was a team that just a month ago was just short of knocking off the Misfits in the first round of the MFFL playoffs. This was a team who was just short back in July or June, I should say, of 7-0 against Rampage in the MFFL quarterfinals. This is a team that can step up and compete just well enough to be in a game. The biggest question is, can they step up in a big way and win this tournament? Just below them, Baltimore Spartans, 7-10 overall is their record. They're 2-2 in tournament play. Actually, if you want to adjust that, which I will actually, throw in York. They are 4-4, I do believe. Spartans, that record might need to be changed. I might need to look into that a little bit. I think it's a little off, but I might be off myself. Spartans are a first-year team. They started back in August. Charm City was their debut. They had Gusto Land to start out right out the gate. Bit of a different challenge for both sides. They got a win on a very undermanned Nomads team, which name-wise looks good, but Nomads wasn't quite the Nomads in that one. They only had 11 guys. Next day, they went out. I think they got one in the morning on somebody. I can't remember who anymore. I think it was the Dirty Birds before being knocked out in the Sweet 16. But it was a really good debut for the Baltimore Spartans. They got a lot of praise from some people on some higher A teams in the area on terms of their competitiveness and spirit and how well they play the game. This team is looking to make a big statement here this weekend at the Capital Classic. The Clash of York, we had seen them. So as we mentioned earlier, the only win Dream has so far is on the Baltimore Spartans in that York tournament. But they had a pretty good run there. I got a win on the Killer Bees on Saturday as well. Before Sunday, they beat Primetime, got a forfeit win that morning before falling to the Baez Auto in the quarters. Looking forward to seeing how they play in their third tournament of the year. Excited for this Baltimore Spartan squad. And, of course, the lowest ranked team I got out of all of the teams is a team that is not eligible for rankings as of yet. Right now, they're sitting at 44th if they were to be ranked, which is about the 19th team out. So they're still a bit of a ways away from getting there. They'll be eligible at the end of their first game Saturday with the Maryland Titans. And they could perhaps even jump in if they win it. I mean, we saw what happened with Nomads weeks ago. They were 4-4 unranked. Right now, they're number 11. I got them number 11 in the country. Gusto Land is trying to make a similar lead. They're 2-4-1 right now. As we mentioned, Gusto, not a league team. They don't play anywhere but YAFFL tournaments and 9-man tournaments. You go back? Sorry about that. I had to fix my throat a little bit. It's dry. You go back from Gusto to Charm City Classic. I got a win on the Baltimore Spartans in what was their first 9-man game in 10 months before falling to Rampage in a game where they were just completely overmatched. A bit of a downstep from where they were against Rampage in their earlier meetings against them. They took a step back in a 41-17 loss. Gusto as well the next day went out. They got a morning win on the Bulls before falling to the Apex Dragons in the Sweet 16. Very tough draw with the GCFFA Dragons, but they played them close enough and tough enough that there was some hope of Gusto Land. Maybe there could be something there. Clash of York 3, they had an excellent battle with the Bad Boys, 18-18 tie on Saturday. But just not a good game with the Misfits right afterwards. We talked about it. That was a rematch for game 2 years ago. That was an iconic game locally here. But the Gusto Land was completely outclassed by the Misfits in that one, taking a 32-7 loss. Thankfully, they won't be seeing the Misfits this time around. They will be seeing the Bad Boys though for a third time. They played on Sunday in that tournament. Bad Boys won that one 11-7. Looking forward to round 3 between Bad Boys and Gusto Land.
Bad Boys Gusto Land.
You know what? It's time for some picks. We did the schedule earlier. Let's get to the
No
picks.
predictions?
Yep. Let's go ahead.
Right time for predictions, eh?
Yep. Just in time.
Okay.
Gonna kick it off right out the gate, 9 a.m. Maryland Venom, Southside. As I mentioned with Kent, this is a bit of a quasi rematch of a game back 2 years ago. Some of the Venom guys on the Baltimore Hawks defeated Southside in a game they had there. So we'll get the chance to see that once again. Should be a good one. On the other side, on the other field, you're going to have Rideout and Misfits at 9 a.m. But let's start off, as we mentioned, with Misfits Rideout. They played several times this year. MAFFL, they played. Misfits got the win there back in April. Charm City, they played. Misfits again got the win. Can Rideout get round 3? That remains to be seen. Let's do picks on B side first. Venom Southside, Ross. Who you got?
I got Venom.
You got Venom?
Yeah.
I got. I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Venom as well here. Venom, like I said, more well traveled, more well seasoned. They've been around the block a good bit this year. They played everywhere. They played in Hagerstown, Greencastle, Warwick, Ocean City, Baltimore, Atlantic City. Venom's everywhere this year. Now that I think about it, Florida too. So they played in Florida, New Jersey, Maryland, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, DC now. Venom's everywhere. And I think that's going to help them win this early game right out the gate. But the travel is going to be a factor here. 9 a.m. game. Southside's a little more local. I think that factors in early, but I think Venom just squeaks out one in the end.
Yeah, I got that.
Misfits Rideout. Who you got?
On Saturday,
Yeah.
I got Misfits.
I want Misfits too. These are the kind of games where early on they're going to come out 100% ready to go. Travel may be the hardest part for them. They're not used to 9 a.m. kickoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they travel down
What
there.
time is kickoff?
9 a.m.
Ooh.
A lot of rideouts guys are coming from Northern Virginia down that Arlington area, right across the bridge.
Right out now.
That's the thing. The MAFFL teams early on are going to have a bit of a home advantage in these morning games because of proximity. But Misfits are a different team. You know how they do. I'm going to go with Misfits. Second game on the B end, we got Southside and the Spartans. First ever meeting. And on the A side, we got Elite Rebels and Rideout. Third time they've met. Actually, if you do recall, go back to OMFFL back in April. Rebels got an 8-6 win on Rideout in the defensive battle. And then in the playoffs, however, Rideout knocked out the Elite Rebels. TJ Holston was not there that day, though. So going to be a much different game this time around with TJ back there. Let's do some picks. Southside Spartans, who you got?
I'm going to Southside now.
Southside, I'm going to go with Southside as well. I think the home field advantage helps. They're going to be ready and sync. Spartans going to come in a little fresh and kind of early. So I'm going to go with, I said fresh. My voice slipped there a little bit. I'm going to go with Southside. Rebels and Rideout. I'm going to go Rebels. I think TJ Holston and the company step up in a big way. All right. Baez Auto and Maryland Venom. I don't think we've had a Baez Venom game. At least not one I can remember.
Huh.
I think there might have been a Baez Hawks game back in the day. You shut the fuck up. I'm almost done, asshole. All love over here.
I'm trying to watch some hockey while we do this. That's
Fuck
all.
your team.
Yeah, because Cash tried to play your team out.
We're not going to talk about anything but flag football on a flag football show.
What we got?
We got Misfits we got Baez and Venom, sorry. And on the other end, it's Misfits, Elite Rebels, which I feel like I've watched that game a lot this year.
I'm gonna go Baez. Baez sound good.
We're gonna go Baez as well. I think Baez will come out a little ready to go. Misfits Rebels, though, who you got? I think Misfits get revenge on TJ in this game.
Yeah, I think so too.
It won't feel as good as the championship,
Yeah,
but it'll be
after
something.
First game loss.
Oh,
Get all
you
the
staying
guys
there.
there. It's just gonna be ready to play.
Let's see how it goes. Baltimore Spartans and Baez Auto. That's going to be the B game at that slot. I'm not going to say the time because I don't feel like it. Yeah, I got Baez. They won the last game between them 26-20, or 28-20, but Spartans had a couple late scores. Baez handles business. Scorpions PME. Game of the day.
Has potential to be.
Yeah.
I will say that.
I think it's going to be a great one. Like, that's going to be a battle. I don't know. What are the scores going to bring out? Are they going to play it? Are they going to play their cards? Or are they going to sit there and just, maybe show a look? You never know what the scores are going to do from one game to the next. They're that team who they're going to give you just enough effort to play a game,
Right.
but even more effort when it comes to winning it, when it matters. Like they don't care about a loss mid-season or pool play. They're going to come out Sunday ready to go and win it, and that's how this team rolls. All right, picks on that one. Who do you got, Ross? Scorpions PME.
That's why I said which one's that. Still need more time to think about it. I'm gonna go Scorpion.
I'm gonna go PME. I think PME comes out ready on that Saturday game. I think PME is gonna make a big statement in this tournament. Yeah. We'll see. Titans Gusto Land. First time matchup between those two. And on the other side, it'll be Playmakers Elite and Rampage. PMA with a doubleheader of Scorpions and Rampage. They're ready. It'll be a good one. Let's talk Titans Gusto. You got Titans. I got Titans too. I don't know what Gusto is going to be in this tournament. Like, they're definitely not the same team they were 2 years ago. I think that's kind of fallen off. They're not even the same team we saw Clash of York 2 last year. They're trying to get back to that spot, but it's been a struggle. Especially when you take off 10 months from 9-man. Going back to the other side, PME, Rampage, like we said, rematch of the quarterfinals of MAFFL back in July. Rampage won that 15-12.
I'm gonna go PME in that one.
You're going to go PME?
Yeah.
I'm going to go PME as well. I think PME goes 2-0.
I can't have PME going on too.
I don't see them. I think they're going to go 2-0 and take the 1 seed at the end of the day, at the weekend. Gusto Land Bad Boys, round 3, fight. So far, it's 1 tie, a Bad Boys win. There is a Bad Boys logo on screen, so we'll have a Bad Boys logo this weekend for the first time all season.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah, I just saw it and I had a big smile on my face. I was like, cool, I have a Bad Boys logo now. Instead of just using like a white or garnet color. And then the other end, you're going to have Dream and Scorpions. First game, Gusto Bad Boys. Who you got?
Go Bad Boys.
I'm going to go with Bad Boys as well. I think they pull it out. You're going to see, like Bob and them, I think can come out and sling it, but they don't play enough 9-man. They really don't. That's just kind of been hurting Gusto. They're not playing enough. Like the only time we see them, like Bob and them will show up on 717 Elite or prime time, but like
as a whole, we don't see enough Augusta win. And I think that's what's been
Right.
hurting them is,
Yeah.
yeah, you have spurts where they're playing and then they stop and then they're back. And then it's like there's no momentum or rhythm. Like there's no groove to get into. You're just there or you're not there. It's a big deal for them, I think. They need this tournament. They need to have a good performance this weekend to at least feel some kind of confidence going into Nationals. Dream and Scorpions, who you got? I'm gonna go Scorpions too. Dream played them tough last time around, and if this was like months ago, back in the spring, maybe I'd say Dream, but I think the Dream is over. Two games on at once, FOE and Maryland Titans on one field. They've played before. I'm pretty sure they played in a tournament this year. I can't remember which one though. And the other one being Rampage and Dream, like we mentioned, regular season matchup in MAFFL where Dream beat Rampage. So FOE Titans, who you got? I got FOE. Titans be on the back end of a second game with a break in between. FOE will be coming in fresh, ready to go. They'll probably have all their guys by that point. I think FOE gets a win there. Rampage and Dream, who you got? Rampage?
Yep.
All right. Final game of the day. Bad Boys and FOE, the main event at 6:00. Battle between number 24 and number 25. Oddly enough, the only ranked game I have in B that day.
That's wild.
I only got 3 ranked teams in B. Like a lot of them are unranked and under 500. Like it's like the A bracket is very much an A bracket in this tournament. Like Baez is the top B team at number 16 overall in the nation. I think that puts them like number 5 or 6, I think, overall in the region. Maybe 7. So like the B teams are kind of pushed down a little bit here. But they're about on level at this time of the year, you would expect.
That one I got FOE.
I got FOE as well. FOE on 3. 1, 2, 3. FOE. I'm gonna go FOE. I think FOE on a home field. I'm gonna take them over Titans.
FOE just by that point of the day, 6:00. So probably 6:15.
Bad Boys are also on a break too, like Titans were.
And Bad Boys did a break, and it's late in the day. At that point, they're starting to feel good over there.
I mean, a tight one.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna switch it up and go Bad Boys just because you want to FOE.
Okay.
That's my guy.
Everyone's my guy. Well, all right. Let's pick the championships. Who you got in your B championship? Who's your winner and loser? Your teams are Baez, FOE, Bad Boys, Titans.
PMU's
Yeah. Southside, Venom, Spartans, and Gusto Land.
I'm gonna go Baez versus.
It's a tough one to call.
It is, man.
Like, it's a pretty good bracket.
I'm gonna go Baez versus Bad Boys.
Baez and Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Rematch from Motion City. I'm gonna go with Baez versus FOE. I'm gonna go with Baez squeaking one out the end.
There's still Titans too.
Titans is a possibility. Remember, the only teams that they've lost to on Sunday this year is Rampage and the Browns. And it's funny, if they had beaten the Browns, they would have played Rampage in the quarterfinals. They just can't avoid that fate.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Do you that? Bias over FOE.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bad Boys for now. Bad Boys time to shot.
Bad Boys get it.
Yeah.
They've earned it after the hell of a year they've had. Like, they've had a hell of a year.
Bad Boys time to shot.
And I don't mean like hell of a, but hell of a year.
Let's go, Bad Boys.
All right. He's got Bad Boys. I got Baez. So who do we got in the A championships?
Give me one down teams again.
Jesus. Misfits, Ride Out, Elite Rebels, PME, Rampage, Scorpion Stream.
I'm gonna go.
Stacked ass bracket.
Nah. I'm gonna go PME versus Scorpions.
Yeah, PME and Scorps.
Yep.
Who do you got winning?
Do you have the same team?
I got PME Misfits.
You got Misfits in there?
Yeah. They're still Ride Out. They're still Elite Rebels.
Yeah.
I know. A bracket ball's gotten pretty good the last few years down here.
You know what? I'm gonna change my shit.
All right.
I'm gonna go Scorpions versus Elite Rebels.
Scorpions versus Elite Rebels.
I got Scorpions winning.
You got Scorpions winning.
Yeah.
I got Misfits PME, and I got Misfits winning.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Misfits finally get it.
I think very well could.
Like, they're gonna have a tough draw, but
They very well.
this is the tournament where they're gonna prove themselves, in my opinion. So I got Misfits and Baez. Ross has Scorpions and Bad Boys.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yup.
Yep. Anyhow, anywho,
Eddie Thomas. Come on, don't let me down, bro.
don't let him down at all, Eddie. Because trust me, he's already in for a letdown.